Are there any private member statements?
Mr Acting Speaker.
Call the member for Baulkham Hills.
Mr Acting Speaker, when I was a boy growing up in Western Sydney, autumn's chill would mean something very special was coming. Suddenly the milk bars and supermarkets would come alive with big bags of firecrackers, little boxes of throwdowns and colourful packets of Crazy Jacks. Like my birthday, Christmas Day, Grand Final Day and Easter, Cracker Night was one of the best days of the year. As an adult, my birthday is still good. Christmas Day is better when you're a dad. Grand Final Day would be exciting if only Parramatta could get there. And Cracker Night, how I long for the return of Cracker Night. The second Monday in June, our celebration of the monarch's birthday was Cracker Night, a night of double bungers, skyrockets, tom thumbs, Roman candles, Catherine wheels and blazing parachutes. A night when we were allowed to venture into the realm of giants. It was a night filled with a sense of awe and wonderment that not even New Year's Eve comes close to. We were actually allowed to set off the fireworks. My office has been inundated with messages of support for the return of Cracker Night. A constituent of mine, Colin Keegan of Baulkham Hills, wrote to me. His late father was an army officer and would always organise an Empire Day bonfire, crackers and sausage sizzle for the army kids wherever he was posted. To pay tribute to his father on what would have been his 100th birthday, he planned to hold a small backyard fire. Of course, the rigmarole imposed by the state is such tribute impossible. He was certainly right to describe it as bureaucracy gone stark raving mad. I find it hard to believe that we are in a state that is a publicly funded heroin injection room but denies our kids the natural high of Cracker Night. Maybe if we can find ways to engage our youth, we might not need that state-sponsored heroin injection room. Society needs to return to the simple niceties that young Australians used to enjoy: comic books, milk bars and Cracker Night. As the Parliamentary Secretary to the Premier with responsibility for youth policy, I asked, what has happened to the innocent pleasures of youth? Why don't we do things like calling our parents' peers Mr and Mrs, or if they were close friends, Aunt and Uncle? Why don't we stand up for teachers when they enter the room? Why don't we salute the flag? Most of all, I want young people to look me in the eye when they give me a firm handshake. Mr Acting Speaker, I fear some young people need to learn that a grunt is not a form of communication. Scorching that new woolen jumper on Cracker Night was a rite of passage for young Australians. It was a small price to pay to ensure that families and communities would come together. In the eyes of a 7-year-old boy growing up in Western Sydney, it was magic. It was a night spent with Mum and Dad doing something special. They are the nights that they are etched in my memory. Given the amount of quality time fathers spend with their children averages out at a paltry 6 minutes per week today, surely we need to encourage every opportunity to bring families together. However, Cracker Night was not just about fireworks. We sat around the bonfire as a community and talked. Sadly, this is one of those community events that no longer occurs. Strong communities provided me with a broad support network and friendships and helped to keep my young friends and I out of mischief. Cracker Night embodies that wonderful proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. At the risk of raising the eye of the politically correct wowsers, I understand that there are safety risks with fireworks. However, surely heroin is a bigger risk. Besides, only the grown-ups use the most dangerous fireworks, and I know as a responsible grown-up I'd be the one using them because they're the most impressive. I note that Tasmania, Northern Territory, Canada, Britain and America all have forms of Cracker Night with great deals of success. The spirit of Cracker Night was encapsulated in John Williamson's song Cracker Night. He said, Cracker Night was a real big deal when I was a little kid. It seems like only yesterday, tucked away in bed. Dreams of schemes and double bunga, daring things we did, and daring things we did do. Fireworks have been part of New South Wales since at least 1803, so the colony was just 15 years old when we celebrated the King's birthday with fireworks. It's a tragedy that a day, which is the oldest public holiday on the Australian calendar, has been allowed to pass into insignificance. Like the reintroduction of knighthoods earlier this year, Cracker Night acknowledges our traditional connections to the United Kingdom and our shared sovereign with 52 other Commonwealth partnerships. The reintroduction of Cracker Night to the calendar requires serious consideration. I hope that on the second Monday in June I'll be able to take my 2 sons, search and destroy out and show them how to use throwdowns and Crazy Jacks. Mr Acting Speaker, in an increasingly complex world, I urge our youth not to lose touch with life's simple pleasures, because it's the memories of an Australian childhood that will provide the next generation with the 4 points of their moral compass.
Just the Parliamentary Secretary in response.
Thank you.
Flabbergasted.
Thank you, Mr Acting Speaker. Mr Speaker, can I acknowledge and commend the member for Baulkham Hills for raising that age-old iconic event of Cracker Night, and I cannot remember as a child how many events that we would have attended, whether they were bonfires in my own backyard or my neighbour's backyard. It's a great way of bringing the community together, and I commend him for raising it and the importance of Cracker Night and the values surrounding Cracker Night, and I would certainly like to see them continued and to reappear across the district. But can I just raise that from a perspective of a horse owner, the one issue that I've always had is that pyrotechnics have been made available to so many people across the broader community, and that strikes fear into the hearts of every horse owner, such as people like myself, and even people with dogs on properties on the periphery of the residential areas. But can I say that there are many, many parks and many, many council areas which would be more than suitable for having community Cracker Nights, as the member for Baulkham Hills quite correctly raises.